Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we have an amazing executive on the program, as well as a dear friend of mine, Elizabeth Herbst-Brady. It's great to have you on the show.
It's wonderful to see you, Bant. Thanks for having me.
Elizabeth is the head of North American Revenue and Global Client Solutions at Verizon Media. She's had an amazing career in the media and marketing space. She was the head of strategic partnerships at Snap, the head of New York ad sales at Snap, head of sales strategy at Viacom, and on and on. I think I knew you way back when at IPG when you were running the MAGNA Global group. Elizabeth, it's great to talk to you. And before we get into what you're working on today at Verizon, tell us a little bit about your background and your career.
Well, yes, we're not going to date ourselves, but I've had the privilege of working in really marketing, media, and now tech for multiple decades. And you and I did meet, I believe it was in Korea for a Hyundai Kia pitch, and it was on the treadmill where we bonded, and then we bonded over the breakfast buffet, which was excellent.
Definitely the breakfast buffet. I remember that like extraordinary table. It was like the largest buffet I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you were like, eat a good breakfast. There may not be anything afterwards. So we did that. So anyway, a bunch of decades in this incredible industry that really allows you to continue to learn and grow and be a part of transformation. I'm the mom of 22-year-old twins, boy and girl twins, who hope to graduate from university this year and start on their adult venture. We'll see. It was 3 months between my first date and when I got married to my husband, and we just celebrated our 24th wedding anniversary. So that's sort of an interesting fact. I'm a lifelong runner, as we met on the treadmill, and love to bake. When my children are home, they run my house, but when they're not home, my cats run my house. And I continue to try to learn how to balance, but I'm not sure balance actually exists.
So Elizabeth, I mean, balance is a tough thing at the best of times, but when you're working at one of the largest media companies, I can only imagine, you've had this career where you've worked on the agency side, worked at some of the hottest, fastest growing, I like to say the cool kid companies like Snap, and now you're really at a major player, Verizon Media. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are up to.
Well, we are, I would say, one of the full companies that really has the intersection of brand storytelling and performance, right? We have content where we have a direct relationship with customers and things like Yahoo Finance, Yahoo Sports. We have outstanding tech. We have first-party data by Yahoo Mail and all of the first-party data associated with our ID graph, so we can offer clients performance and the opportunity of great storytelling through things like Riot. One of the things I'm really excited about right now is we're getting ready for the new front, which, even in this virtual world, and I can't share too much, but I will say what we're building out from a set perspective and a content perspective will really showcase that we can help clients be masters of storytelling and performance. So, we've been in market for a while talking about our full stack advantage, and it's really just great to be able to bring that to life and work with clients and helping them to deliver their goals.
I am always amazed at all of the things that you guys have at Verizon Media, and it certainly has grown over the last decade, really including some first-rate media properties as well as deep data capabilities. And I would imagine, I'm just curious at what you're seeing right now as the world starts to, hopefully, or at least the US starts to reopen after this pandemic, what you're seeing clients are gravitating towards. So what are they excited about when it comes to media and marketing these days?
Look, I think it's the full spectrum. You can start off with the looming issue around what's going to happen with the deprecation of cookies, and everybody is readying in their own way. Again, I think we feel very well positioned because we do have a first party relationship with customers, and we're also working hard on extending what we're calling next generational contextual targeting. So I think clients are trying to figure out how are they going to understand their marketing and media funnels in a new way. I think there's also, and being a part of Verizon very much in this story, when we think about the role of 5G and how 5G is going to completely transform industries, consumer behaviors. We work a lot with the NFL. We have the Watch With app. All the stadiums across the US are getting wired up for 5G, and it's this incredible immersive experience, both in the stadium and then for consumers. So I think it's really reimagining how you can connect with consumers, but also tying it back to what we know is about you have to be able to sell product. So it's the balance of those two things in this new world that's just had the doors sprung open from it.
So Elizabeth, you run one of the larger teams in the media space. This year, we've all been working remotely. How have you guys managed that process? How has that worked out with Verizon?
Yeah, look, I think this year it has almost been the ultimate paradox. On the one hand, no matter who you are, it was incredibly challenging. There was unbelievable isolation. In some cases, literal isolation where you had people that were all by themselves for a protracted period of times. In other cases, you had young families who, before, when they were trying to do whatever they do, whether it was school and work, that was happening in separate areas, and it was all happening under the same roof. And I call that the puzzle without a solution. Like, I just don't even know how you manage that. Mm-hmm. You have challenges with older parents, friends, family. And by the way, those, I would argue, those are the lucky ones, because those are the ones who actually were able still to be able to work. And then there's a whole nother group of people that lost their livelihoods because of COVID. So I think one of the things that we really tried to do is be present, be focused, do a lot of checking in. We like to think of ourselves as a purposeful and caring company. I think we had to really double down on that, both what we did in terms of society, but also then within our own company. We didn't have a single layoff. We really took care of people. We tried to give people space to take care of their families, or take care of their parents, or just take care of themselves. And then the interesting irony of it is we came together, we were so focused and purposeful, we ended up having a remarkably successful year. So I think it was the combination of the right framing of we're all in this together, we're just going to do the best we can, but then being able to focus in and realize that we actually had incredible products and services to partner with our clients, to really work with them well, and then deliver value. So it's like a tale of two cities, if you will. But I couldn't be more proud of the team. I would say the other thing is it's really hard to ignore the stillness of COVID brought on, I would say, additional focus on all the racial injustice, the equality throughout, not just in the US, but throughout the world. And I think as a team, we really doubled down. We started a diversity and racial equality task force. We had very specific initiatives come out of that, from mentorships. We dedicated all of our interns this summer for diverse hires. We have an allyship newsletter. We tried to remove all unintentional bias from our job descriptions. I would never declare victory. It's really just the start. But right. That came from our team. Everybody came together to work on it. It wasn't a top-down thing. It came up through our group and being spread out through the company. And I'm really, really proud of everybody.
Yeah, it's incredible to see those initiatives, and I've seen some of the manifestations of that activity that you guys have been sharing in social media, yeah. which is great. It's an interesting one because I think that some of the companies have looked at the remote work situation as almost kind of like a bean counting exercise to find savings. But the reality is that the companies that seem to be succeeding are doubling, if not tripling down on culture and harnessing some of that grassroots stuff that you're highlighting now, and making sure that that permeates and grows the culture of the business.
Yeah. I mean, look, I would say particularly in marketing and media, there's always been a drive for connectivity and in person. And it is probably fair to say that before COVID, there maybe was too much running around and moving around, and maybe you were getting together without purposeful interaction. So again, I would say the unintended benefit of everyone being in just anchored down where they are is, and having so much stress on their time, people had to get very focused about why are we getting together? Right. What are we hoping to accomplish? And then having clear action steps. Because if you don't have that framework and you can't count on being in person to say, oh, by the way, I need X, Y, or Z, or what do you think about X, Y, and Z? You create really purposeful pipes. So that's the good news. I would say true collaboration and creativity, that I think happens better in person. And so now I think what's exciting on the other side is how do you bring that back? I think people are going to be so excited to really, really be together. That I think that
I feel like as more and more adults get the vaccine, I am imagining that this is like a bit of a Rumspringa summer that's on the horizon for all of us. But that it'll be great to get people together, and I completely agree on topics like innovation. There seems to be that obviously locking people in a room to come up with ideas, but also just from a learning perspective that. Maybe pseudo subconscious learning that happens when you're just with people that are doing things, and you can learn quickly. I completely agree. So I mean, this year has been a challenging year, and I love the examples of how Verizon has tackled some of those challenges. But how have you been keeping sane? What has been giving you some joy in your life?
Oh, well, that would imply that I'm actually sane to start with. But look, okay. I am, and I would say it's an extension of a framework I try to use in general, which is when people come in and they say, how do you think about, having a successful career? And I mean, initially I was thought to myself, I'm not even sure I have anything to say about it. But after being asked enough times, I'm like, okay. When I think about it, for me, it's really a construct of three things. First is to be curious, because if you're curious, you're always going to ask why you're doing something. And I think, honestly, when you and I met, you were the recipient of some of my curiosity as I asked you to explain ad infinitum about what we were doing in Korea. The next is to really be accountable. And why that's important is we all make mistakes, right? But the opportunity is to really learn from them and give your space to learn from them. And that, again, that can be very hard because you feel pressure to deliver and do a good job, but it is actually the secret to building and growing and learning. And then the last thing is to have this ongoing journey around gratitude. Again, purposely sitting there and saying what is good and what are we grateful for. And that is both in personal and in business. So through that lens, that's how I've tried to look at things. And as we talked about in the beginning, I've been incredibly lucky. I've worked at a company that I am so proud of and has showed up well. I have an incredible team and they're wonderful. I have a great family. My kids have been okay. Nobody's gotten sick. And so I literally go through that mental checklist almost regularly. When the gym shut down, I started walking in Central Park at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then my husband objected to me going when it was dark. So I had to change that out. So doing a lot of walking because I couldn't be in the gym. And I've still been doing a lot of baking, which requires more walking for everybody else.
Oh, I like that. The baking and the walking, right. The balance. There you go. That's the balance that you have.
Those are basically, that's how I've been spending my time. It's very routinized. That's it.
So I mean, I love those lines: accountability and gratitude, and certainly finding the balance between those things is key going forward. But when you think about Verizon and the plans for the next year, next 18 months, what are you excited about? Certainly 5G sounds like one of the big ones.
I mean, absolutely 5G. I would say for Verizon Media specifically, I feel like we have finally hit our groove in understanding the value of full stack. Doubling down again, as I said, in our content relationships, whether it's Yahoo Finance or Yahoo Sports or what we did around Yahoo News. I'm sure you were following the U.S. election, even though I'm not sure you were in the U.S. the entire time.
Yeah.
And, we really committed to having a full spectrum of reporting. So that's really exciting. The product development that we're seeing in terms of really committing to an omni-channel planning and buying ecosystem, and then just continuing to have our workforce understand and embrace this idea of constant transformation and being accountable to what clients need. Things are always changing, but I think what's sort of unique about this moment in time is the paradigms inside of the marketing ecosystem, the media ecosystem, and the tech ecosystem. They're all changing at the same time, and we sit right in the center of that. And while sometimes overwhelming, I can't think of a more exciting place to sit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Verizon really is at the epicenter of all of those changes because you have tech elements, you have the data, you've got the media that are touching popular culture all the way down, all the way across to really the latest, greatest technology and scale technology as well with 5G. It's been amazing to catch up with you, Elizabeth. I'm really blessed that, to have you on the show today. If people want to learn more about what you guys are up to at Verizon Media, where should they reach you?
EHB at verizonmedia.com.
Awesome. Well, listen, we've been speaking to Elizabeth Herbst-Brady. She is the head of North American Revenue and Global Client Solutions at Verizon Media. We've been talking to her about what Verizon Media has been doing during the pandemic, some of the changes, and clearly a lot of the success and growth that we're seeing from the company across all areas. I'm particularly excited personally on the 5G stuff, so can't wait to see what the future holds in that space. We've been having Elizabeth on UNCAGED today. UNCAGED is a show that aims to give a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us today, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Brant. It was great to see you.